Back with another video. This video is going to be looking at Manchester United versus Liverpool and how Liverpool started their charge for the top four to desperately make a Champions League spot for next season against rivals Manchester United. So before we start, check out my book. It is out and there's a link in the description below, so be sure to check that out and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And this video is made using Keyframe, so if you're interested in making videos like these, be sure to check out the description. You'll find a link for all this stuff, but let's get right into it. So Manchester United, when they defended deeper, they defended in a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1. So some characteristics about this: the back four was narrowed by the inverted wingers of Liverpool, and this left the midfield playing a little bit wider than their defensive counterparts. And then Bruno Fernandes was the 10, with Edison Cavani playing as the lone striker. So then moving forward for Liverpool, we have our two players pinning the back four, which would narrow them, and then it would create space in the wide area for Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold to advance further up the field in this match. But from here, the movement often derived from the defense and the central midfielder. So oftentimes we'd have Fabinho and Thiago coming deeper, one using the central corridor, one using the half space, and trying to stagger themselves with the central defenders. So moving into higher positions now, Manchester United at times used a very aggressive, proactive press, which saw Pogba, who played in the left midfield position, jump to the first line of pressure, where Cavani and Rashford occupied space as well. And Pogba's run used his cover shadow to block the wide areas to try and win the ball higher up the field from the Liverpool central defenders, who in the first phase of build-up were split by Alisson in goal, and with their primarily two deeper midfielders of Fabinho and Thiago, they usually would come back to create a 3-2 press-resistant structure. But with this, they had Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes would be covering the holding midfielder of Liverpool, with two active holding midfielders behind him of Scott McTominay and Fred, who would then take up the higher midfielders. In this situation, it's Thiago, because Wijnaldum is deeper, but their positions were very interchangeable, and we see Firmino here dropping in to create a four-man midfield to occupy the central corridors to try and create numerical superiority against the Manchester United three midfielders in the defensive phase. So how Man U would then try and take care of the fullbacks higher up the field in the wide areas is they would use their fullbacks through Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka to then jump from deeper areas to then occupy the Liverpool fullbacks in higher positions. When Liverpool would press higher up the field, they used their inverted wingers to press the central defenders, as they normally do, with Bobby Firmino being joined by Thiago to then try and occupy the double pivot of Manchester United in deeper areas. So Man U built up with their 3-2 structure, but oftentimes the Liverpool press, when it was orchestrated properly, it looked like their most dangerous positions in terms of goal scoring threat for Liverpool, because of the shaky Man U build-up at times and for their tendency to become isolated when in possession. So then this would leave the free players of Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw in wider areas, which would then be covered by shifting midfielders from the central corridors. But this often wasn't the problem, because Man U wasn't able to access these free players, and if the midfielders couldn't cover them, then the fullbacks like Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold would jump into higher positions to then close down this threat and defend with numerical equality. The last picture here shows Liverpool defending in a deeper position and them shifting more to a 4-5-1, with the front three playing a bit of a wider role, with the wide players then dropping deeper to control the movement of the Man United fullbacks. So here we have the five midfielders of Liverpool, while Bobby Firmino is the lone forward in their defensive setup in their mid to low block. So what Man U did to then counter this is they would try to use Bruno Fernandes between the lines with an inverted Pogba, who played as a left midfielder, but Bruno Fernandes had more tendency to drop through the right-sided half space or the central corridor to take advantage of Cavani pinning, with then Scott McTominay and Fred deeper. So oftentimes it would appear they would play with a three-man midfield through the central corridors, and one of the holding midfielders of Man U would stagger themselves in the half space to just create a different passing angle in their build-up and create more security in transition, which would leave the wide areas to then be occupied by the fullbacks, and Rashford, playing higher up the field, would then have the ability to make these narrow runs in behind into the half space into dangerous areas to receive a diagonal pass, where Cavani, he would operate in the center and oftentimes become the height within the team and try and stretch the team and stretch the Liverpool defensive lines to undo their vertical compactness. So this was the analysis, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.